Efficiency Experts YouTube. We just want to achieve. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble abode for the 6th episode of the Efficiency Experts Roundtable Podcast. My name is Gunnar. You may know me as Dragon Seance, and today we're going to be covering the new achievement system, as well as the Build a Fayre and other recent promotions. First, let's meet our panelists.
I'm Alex, RSN Evo.
Andrew, RSN Determined.
Chris, I'm Rubik.
Megan, RSN Sweet Pea.
G'day, I'm Shane, also known as Dicecape, and a big shout out to the fans.
Always with the fans. So the first thing we want to cover today is Jagex introduced a new achievement system that was meant to be more all-encompassing and a better structure for guidance for players of all levels, especially at the highest level. While it may seem that this is a more centralized approach, some of the reception was a bit wishy-washy as to whether or not the UI was actually a step in the right direction. Having played around with it for a while, I can say that it feels incomplete because of the content, not necessarily the UI, at least in my personal opinion. It's the main issue is that there's content that could be added that isn't. However, they've said that this is a framework for future content to be included in this achievement system. So, for example, if new content were to come out, hypothetically 120 Slayer, and there were unlockables, e.g. pets, from those Slayer monsters, those could be included. The Edemu pet could be included. Things that are oft discussed in some corners of RuneScape, like True Trimmers, which you can find the requirements for True Trim in the description. But most players don't think about them or don't know they exist. So this is a perfect system for introducing that. But as of right now, it's basically all the achievements that existed prior in a slightly more confusing interface. Have you guys had a chance to take a look at it?
Yeah, I really dislike the fact that it's not as compact as it used to. While it's good that they've made a centralized system, in the past you could see like 16 or something like that achievements at the same time. Now you're sort of locked down to like 4 or 5 depending on how small your interface is.
And even then, the achievement diaries, which are called areas right now,
yep,
they aren't sorted by easy, medium, hard, elite unless you haven't completed them. And in that case, they're just sorted by the title of the achievement rather than what you have to do for that achievement.
Which might be possibly the worst way to sort them. But so yeah, definitely looking at the PVM achievements, which I don't know if you guys know, but the only things you can do in this game that are solo PVM achievements are goblin bosses. So if you're looking for something to do, guys, you should be killing one goblin boss.
What is the reason they released it with such limited content? Is it because they just want to improve it and get feedback, or?
I believe it was a TAP project, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
No. So when I got on, when the update happened, there was 11 PVM achievements. So they went out of their way to add this goblin solo boss.
Right.
It was somebody's passion at the office, and they were campaigning for it for weeks on end, and then the update finally went live, and it was version 3.3.2 instead of 3.3.3, and somebody was pissed, and yeah, they did a hot fix to include that kill a goblin boss.
If the goblin boss was a Master Quest cave rack or a trim rack, but I know it was a requirement for one of the caves because I remember needing to do it. So it was actually useful.
Right. So there were a few fixes.
They just forgot it.
It's not checked off for me, and I have no idea what it is. I have no idea what boss it is.
Hey, you're learning already from this new achievement
it's very
system.
helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. You'll be True Trim in no time.
I think a few things. First of all, we The Efficiency Experts clan chat got a visit from Mod Shogun this week, our first JMod visit in about 2 years. And one of the only things he did while he was there, one of the only things he said was he was excited for this update and he thought that true trimmers would enjoy it. And we have a little screenshot of that. So I think that in that respect, it was probably a disappointment because for true trimmers, none of this stuff is new. There's nothing on there that there's sort of a master list of true trim requirements that's compiled by DX and XEX7 Danny, and we'll link that in the description. But none of the notable things on there are really in this system.
Right. And what I was really hoping was you'd go into this and say, for example, I'm going for IFB. I would go in there and obviously I know where the boss pet interface is, but I'd go into this achievement system and maybe when I open it one time when I log in, it would tell me you don't have strange token. And I'd be like, oh, what? What's a strange token? And then I'd be working on that.
Can you actually describe what true trim is for people who might
be
familiar with it?
So for people who have no life after getting 200 mil all skills, true trim is a way to basically measure how much of the game you've completed. So in order to achieve true trim, a player must unlock everything unlockable, obtain everything that is not repeatable, as in it's a reclaim option, or upgrade to the highest tier of anything that is contained within the game that is not destroyable, as in a completable. So an example of this would be getting the Warden title as a one-off unlock. So you would need to achieve that. Discontinued things are not included within True Trim, so there's no treasure hunter stuff from Days of Yore that you need to get. And anything that has fallen out of the game or is currently unachievable is also not included. So at least the way I envisioned this was it would be an all-inclusive list of the things that are completable / non-repeatable, and it would just cycle through as you logged in things you hadn't done. Like if you logged in and logged out, it would give you a different one. If you logged in and logged out, it would give you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that was how I thought of it.
When they originally announced it as well, there was going to be a high scores accompanying the achievement, which I'm disappointed didn't also come out because that would have been nice.
My expectation for this, or just the impression I had of it, and I don't know why, but I just thought it would be kind of like a gamer score for RuneScape. And I thought it would be boiled down to a quantitative, a number that you could compare and measure yourself against other players. Yet another way besides like overall experience or total level, but a new like completionist high scores.
I think it's coming out in future because it was originally even going to be on like sort of your player examine and all that, like your total achievements, but they've just totally abandoned that for now.
See, here's the thing: we don't know necessarily if they've totally abandoned the project. We know that that no semblance of that came out with this update, which is a little disappointing.
Well, Model Liam did make a post in the recent update forums where he did talk about this being the first step.
Yeah,
so
and they
a ton more coming.
Do plan on looking at other features. Yeah,
they're definitely gonna have to revisit this, and I think they will flesh it out a lot more. And like obviously, they're not gonna leave it how it is now, where you have the raids feats, that goblin boss, and then there are no group PVM achievements. All the solo PVM achievements are missing.
Right. There's no outfit of omens. Like one of the prime opportunities to put in here that, not a lot of people in the overall RuneScape populace know about, but it is a challenging feat. And it's, again, when I think most high-level players envisioned a new achievement system, they thought of that gamer score. They thought of something, a separate measure that would go along with your XP, along with, your total level. But, only the future holds that information. So I'm optimistic personally that if we're sitting here talking about this, and I'm frankly a bit excited over what we just came up with in the last 3 minutes, I think that's something that is salient in the mind of several JMods, especially Shogun and others that have been working on this in their spare time. So I'm optimistic for the future, but as for this, it's a less intuitive reskin of the achievements we had.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good potential, really good, but there's just some sort of user interface stuff they need to fix up as well. Like if you go to the achievements and you click on, say, PVM, if you click on PVM again, it doesn't minimize it. So you actually have to scroll for fair bits of time, which is unusual.
Right. It is not something you can just pick up and find all the information you're looking for, which they should hash out by the time, hypothetically, they release some sort of score for this.
Yeah, I hope they clean up the interface. I did see a JMod mention, like on Reddit, someone complained that you can only view 5 at a time right now. And one of the JMods mentioned that they were thinking about doing a compact view, which would certainly be helpful and was possible with the old achievement system. So there's definitely some tweaks that need to be made, and then there's got to be more content added.
I mean, hell, they could take DXNX's spreadsheet, instead of using hours, assign it points, and be done with it. Check the account for those unlocks. You know what I mean? Call it a day. DXNX already did the work. Oma Stardo made trim. Why can't DX make true trim? You know,
that's giving people too much power. That's why people are stuck doing this Castle Wars wreck.
No,
to be fair, that would count for true trim anyway. You need 5K games. You don't just need the 2175. So
we talked about a couple weeks ago in our State of the Game podcast how as games age, you know, players start to have more and more input into their development because they're more invested. There's a smaller community, and I think that, you know, there's no reason that trend shouldn't continue here. Why not listen to the players and hear what requirements they want added, or take from a guy like Danny who has dedicated a lot of time to it already.
Definitely. So yeah, I think we're all on the same page in that we want to see this improved upon and worked on moving forward, and we want to see a score that comes after XP. You know, it gives somebody who may otherwise get bored of the game some incentive, some measurement of their daily goings on. Like, I don't know about you guys, but one of the main things I love about RuneScape is that day after day you can see your progress. And it's kind of hard to see your progress after your 200 mil. Yeah, once you run out of XP, and I mean, there's only a couple people.
It's not a huge problem now, but it will be. You know, there will be 1,000 people with 200 mil all skills in the next couple of years, no question.
Yeah, for sure. And there will be a couple hundred with 200 mil all skills and all the PVM content they want. And so the point is, this wouldn't just be something that would say, okay, go get IFB or go get the next thing, the next big goal. It would give you small goals to work on to avoid that burnout, that boredom.
Now, that's the high-level perspective, but the achievement system traditionally has been targeted at low-level players or mid-level players. What do you think of this compared to the old system from their perspective?
Well, I really like this path system because, like, when I had newbie or friends, they would talk about how, like, oh, I don't want to do this big quest line or something like that. But with these, like, paths, you could, like, set up a path that'll be like, I want to get the God Wars 1 with Mighty Fall. And it'll just be like, hey, go do this quest. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I think something like that, an expansion upon this would be fantastic in that it would set you up for your long-term goals without being as intimidating as saying, go do 14 hours worth of quests so you can craft blood runes. What you would say is, I want to do rune crafting, and it would tell you, here, start with this quest, do this, do the Abyss mini quest, maybe, you know, and you could progress as you go. You wouldn't have to stick with that path necessarily. You know, additionally, they have very, very low-level armor that is a reward, a hybrid armor set that's a reward from Pathfinder, called Pathfinder, from the past called Pathfinder. But they could incorporate more rewards for following these paths. I think something along the lines of like a Wanderlust or a Wayfarer, you know, they could improve upon that and give people an incentive to experiment with their gameplay and find other things that, again, they may not know existed. I think that's the whole point of the system.
There's a lot of cool stuff you could do here. The only other MMO I've ever dabbled in, I don't know if it counts, is Guild Wars. And when I played it, I used to love that it had, like, you could explore all the maps, and it had a percentage that tracked as you explored.
Yeah.
And you got, like, different titles as you reached different percentages, but, like, those were, like, in-game achievements that people could see you'd explore, like, everywhere.
Right, and that's something that a lot of adventure games incorporate that encourage exploration. Like Elder Scrolls Online, you unlock the map. Every game that I've seen that maintains its immersion is one that rewards exploration. RuneScape actively punishes exploration, really, if you're looking at it from a very high level perspective, in that nobody wants to waste their time doing things that aren't rewarding. And the fact is, some of these true trim requirements are not inherently rewarding. However, if there were a score associated with them, I could see a lot more people going for these obscure things and enjoying parts of the game they may not have been motivated to touch at all. I mean, if they want to revitalize a lot of dead content, give people a score for doing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of achievement hunters out there.
I mean, I think this panel is full of them. So, and again, something we want to address from our previous podcast is we may be a small sect of the community in that it's a very high level perspective, but we can also look at it from a game development stance. And I don't know about you guys, but I think if I were a low level player, I would want to be encouraged to explore what is a huge video game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think a sense of direction for low-level players would just be really good. Because, yeah, like, if you want to get curses and you just, like, look up on the wiki what you got to do and you just see that big, long list of quests, it's like, yeah.
So I think we're all on the same page again, and we want to see this progress. But having exhausted that, I think what we're going to discuss now is the most recent in-game event, which is called the Build-A-Fair. And Megan, do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have the Build-A-Fair going on in the Lumbridge Crater. It's very similar to the Invasion of Falador event or the Port Sarim event, where it's the two skills that rotate every day until the event's finished. I think is it a week this time?
Yeah, it's like 6 days, 6 or 7 days, yeah.
The reward from it is a mystical staff, which is unlimited fire, water, and earth runes. Once you max out the event, it will be a level 75 staff, which is not available to Ironmen. And we're not really sure if it's augmentable or not. I'm going to go on a no. It's not going to be based on the previous events, but we never know. And there's also a cosmetic reward of the staff, which is able to obtain by Ironmen.
Right, definitely. So I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to test it out, but it's fairly AFKable. It's
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, it works the same way as past events.
Alex and Shane and I are all here.
So you're given 100 tools a day, and you can get more tools via Treasure Hunter, but it's absolutely not necessary. If you were to just AFK those 100 every day for the event, you would finish. That's not to say that the community will totally finish. There have been things that they haven't finished before. However, it appears that the goal setting was on point this time. I don't know. Do you guys like events like this? Do you want to see more? Do you want to see fewer?
Pretty boring. It's real boring. I mean, you literally just click on a fucking rock and then that's it. I mean, it's so.
Well, the trick is
uninspired.
You spin for the golden tools to get done faster. That's why it's boring.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And they get 25 times XP drops.
On the one hand, I'm getting a bit burnt out from these promos, both this style, which we've seen repeated, and we talked about the, like, what was it? Is it Agents of Fury?
The ones where you just collect random
The ones
things.
where you just get things while skilling.
1,000 a day over 3 hours.
1,000 a day, and it lasts for 2 weeks, which is forever. There's that style of promo as well. That one maybe is a bit better because you can still just do whatever you want, and as long as you play for a certain amount of time, you'll finish it. for the day. You'll hit the daily cap. From a non-MTX, participants beyond like daily spins perspective, on the one hand, these promos feel like a chore, but also I like being able to get all their rewards in game, and I didn't like the promos where you could only get the rewards by spinning for them. So I'm not really going to complain about it. I'll do my 20 minutes a day. It's whatever.
I know my sister, who is a very low level player, loves these events because she can get all of the fireworks all the time. It's just like one level after another. I don't know if that's good.
Is it really good XP? Is it flat?
It scales, but it scales, but it isn't
does
like
scale.
exponential.
It's a linear scale, yeah. So it's pretty good for low levels and
it's
pretty
good
trash
for
for
her.
high levels. Yeah. But why do you think she likes it? Because of the levels, but also we're all going to do it, I think. So it puts us all in one place, which is one thing that Jagex might have been looking at, is to promote the coming Spring Fayre. So as long as we're cognizant of it, I think there will be a higher participation, which is what they want. So.
That's an interesting point, putting a bunch of RS players in one place. I'm not sure whether you'd say that's a good or bad thing. I don't know. I've seen Shane at daily use, and I don't know if community engagement is necessarily a positive in that respect.
Well, I don't
Shane,
know.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, Shane.
Well, sometimes a little bit of fun at use is the best fun, just having a chat with the boys. I love it.
Shane brings the banter. No, one thing I've seen though lately is people complain about where'd everybody go, and it's things like this that bring people back to a singular location, albeit for 20 minutes a day. But I think it's a good thing personally to bring players together some of the time. You might see somebody you haven't talked to, and a lot of us play in the same world all the time. You might see somebody you haven't talked to in a year, strike up a conversation and pick up where you left off. I think, that happens all the time in the game. It's naive to say everybody just is EE number one, EE sucks, back and forth. There's not instant flaming all the time. I think what we are looking at here is something first and foremost to promote a event for the RS community, and second, it's just something to make the game world and the community seem a little bit more compact when everybody's super spread out in RS3 these days.
Some people love it, and some people must right click on everybody and examine them. Because I know that Wazzle never talks to me, but when I'm next to him in game, I always get a PM from him. So some people do that.
Yeah.
As a social butterfly, I really do like that element.
Yeah.
I know my sister likes the examine and checking out the fashionscape aspect of everybody being all together.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good. I like examining people's pets and seeing who I hate. So, for their luck. But no, I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with these types of events, and I'm actually inclined to say they should do more of them in the future. Maybe at the same, time interval, because they do one thing well, which is they give you an introduction to cosmetics. And what makes Jagex the most money? Keys followed by cosmetics.
Yeah.
So it's good for the game. Doesn't hurt anyone.
If they had one of these up all the time, every single week, then I'd probably start skipping them.
I
Not
would
gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they aren't too frequent.
Well, see, here's the thing. You get reward boxes for some of these not to the point where they're necessarily efficient, but if they want to include maybe small and medium lamps or something like that in betwixt the cosmetic overrides, that's something they could do to mitigate the decreased efficiency and incentivize more people to do it. I honestly wouldn't mind if they did 2 a month, but if they were only 6 days each, I wouldn't mind 2 a month.
I don't think my dog appreciated 2 a month.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was quite the bark.
If we look at it from like an efficiency standpoint, I just want to note that I'm getting 93.5k base XP an hour, so it's definitely not gonna be worth it for XP. But
You're
I
getting
think
that in
we're all here
divination?
just for the cosmetics.
You're getting that in divination right now?
Wood cutting.
Okay, well, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that divination's the same XP drop, or is that incorrect?
It's the same.
So that's not horrible. I mean, for people who want to train their divination, that's not bad. And since it scales linearly, I believe, that could be particularly good at low levels. It's not a waste of time per se. And again, I think a lot of people enjoy the AFK. Personally, it's a good opportunity to record a podcast.
Yeah,
for example.
and it's good for alts. I mean, you can train a skill that you might not want to train, like if they have a hunter day or something that's click intensive. You just want
Right.
AFK.
Yeah, I've got to train agility on 07, Hunter, and RC. That's all I've got left. So I kind of relish these opportunities to AFK. But yeah, I see no negatives from these, although you've introduced possible burnout if they do too many. But I don't think they've really come close to doing too many. I think they're kind of at the lower limit for some people who might not care very much about the one cosmetic. But
Yeah, I think for me personally, if they started doing these kinds of events more often, I would only do it if the special reward had like a special effect. Like the fact that this staff gives 3 different types of runes is personally why I kind of want it. Because it'll replace like your lava battle staff if you do thieving, and your mud battle staff.
Yeah, we didn't really note that, but it does. The staff might have some niche use cases, replacing that many basic runes.
right.
It's not bad to have.
One thing that was mentioned was Crystal Mask for thieving. This would be a good staff to use for that. Additionally, for some players, this might be their best weapon. It's tier 75 if the community gets to their highest tier.
I think I noted this like yesterday or so, but it's tier 75 and gives unlimited fire runes. So if you if you don't have Corruption Blast, you could Blood Burst with it in certain situations. Well, you could still Corruption Blast like Revolution with Blood Burst or Barrage or something. Because it would be the second best staff of unlimited fire runes to the Camel staff.
Right, which is how much GP? It's like 80 mil, isn't
probably
it?
pretty comparable to Nox staff.
No, yeah, like it's up there. So it's not a nothing reward. Like this is absolutely worth it for some people.
Okay, do we want to pass to Chris and tell him what the Build-A-Fair is actually going to be after the Build-A-Fair is gone?
Yeah.
Sure. All right, so next Monday, they're going to be releasing an update that's going to introduce the Spring Fayre. And that's going to be similar to the beach party, which happens every year so far. And unlike the beach, though, it isn't going to be the exact same, but there's going to be a lot of similar stuff to it. There's going to be a ton of different attractions or activities which you can interact with to get XP. And there's going to be a bunch of rewards through treasure hunter and cosmetic stuff and etc.
There's a lot of cosmetics, right?
Yeah, there's, I don't know how many, but there's more than, or roughly 20, I think.
Yeah, because there's I believe 3 or 4 full outfits, which is pretty crazy. There's a yak plushie. There's a teleport animation, which is a bucking yak.
Yeah.
There's
a rest animation as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So definitely an encouragement for players to participate. You were going to say something, Andrew?
Not to mention, in the past, the beach has actually been pretty solid XP. And if the mechanics are similar, I think they mentioned some of the skills included are like mining, agility, div. Unlike, the current Build-A-Fair, the Spring Fayre might actually be quite good XP for those skills. Or I used to love to do construction at the beach to get my rocks. So it'll probably be more AFK skilling, kind of like what we have now.
And mid-level fishing at the beach was very competitive with pre-waterfall methods. Like, that's what I did in my ult.
They have a tendency, should I say, to maybe not play test some of these skilling methods as much as they should. I don't know if you guys remember the Lumbridge Crater with one-tick fishing methods, but it was pretty overpowered when I was finishing off my fishing XP. And there's a high propensity for some less than thorough play testing. So we'll see how well they do with balancing. I know in the past the beach has been more AFKable than necessarily the highest end XP rates, but it's definitely nothing to scoff at. For example, construction that you can walk away from is pretty unique, unless you're doing flat packs. So
the biggest concern though I have with it, unlike the beach event where you can only use the ice cream so many times a day, there's no cap on this one, and they're doing a different style. So everyone gets 100 free tokens, I believe, a day, which you spend those to interact with the events. However, you can also spend rune coins to get more tokens, and from my to my knowledge, there doesn't seem to be a limit. So in theory, you could get as many tokens as you need to skill all day there if you wanted to.
So do you think that will make Jagex more inclined to A, make the experience rates there insane to encourage rune coins, or B, make it less so? Yeah.
I think you have to make them worse if that's the case. If it's campable, you have to make them worse because otherwise it's not well balanced. But
it's only campable through microtransactions.
Right.
So,
but you can't release a new best skilling method in the game that is only accessible through MTX.
I mean, they could. Yeah. They totally could.
But why not just spin for XP at that point during a smoldering or a prismatic? Like,
good point.
Why do it?
I feel like they need to take an opportunity to recycle a lot of these assets. I mean, they're using them for events, but there's still a lot of level gaps in the game where they could, incorporate some of these mini game tier skilling methods, albeit at reduced XP rates, and fill some gaps. I mean, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel like they spend a lot of dev time on these, and they're often underutilized. They're used once and never touched again.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why the beach, we saw a lot of stuff get reused, and it lasted for so long. And do we know how long this one is going to last?
It's going to last about 4 weeks, I think.
So, yeah, that's a big lead up into summer. Like, this is poised to be a fairly important summer. Maybe the most important season that we've seen in the game since the release of Prif, because of the expansion gear up for the rest of the year. There's supposed to be an expansion in June, September, December. So June. Yeah, June is Menopause. So
hot. Well, I'm actually, it looks quite fun actually. I'm having a look now. There's a little test of strength, a little candy fairy floss machine. I reckon we should all just hold off and go together, like a little bit of adventure.
It's
because I haven't been outside for 4 days. 4 years really, but it'd be nice to have a little journey together, right?
One of the silliest aspects are the fortune teller in the Mighty Zone, which is like a misfortune teller. And they give these little things that are pretty hilarious.
Do they have the thing where you go up to the guy at the fair and then he tries to guess your age or something, or your weight?
That's Hans.
But yeah.
Yeah, Hans would get it every time.
Yeah. It's Hans.
But anyway, so that Mighty Zoltan, is that his name? He's also a pet this time, if I remember correctly.
Ooh.
Yeah,
so
you can get him as a pet.
Yeah. So I mean, they're definitely encouraging players to participate in this. I'm actually more inclined to say, with a sort of linear scale, it could be a very competitive skilling method that encourages players to use rune coins, which, as long as it's not the absolute best in the game, I don't really mind, being completely honest. I don't care if it's AFKable construction for 600k an hour. I really don't.
Well,
Yeah.
construction's not on the list, but like I'm looking
You
at
know
the
what I mean.
skills.
Example.
Yeah, and divination and agility are on there. So like lower level players that can't really afford silver hawking, that could be an interesting.
Or don't do cash. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So inefficient players may enjoy.
So my
This event.
sister is going to love it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But
She's
she's
going
done
to live
burning.
Hannah's
there.
gonna love it.
She's definitely the target demo for such a thing.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing that they mentioned is that this is kind of a revitalization of Sears Village. Where's the fair located? Is the fair in Lumbridge or Sears Village?
The fair will be located in Lumbridge Crater, so it's going to be on top of like where the current build-a-thon is at, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
We're like building the fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like right now there's a tree that was like at the very center of the crater. That's going to turn into this
which we
giant
brought,
slide.
which we brought from the crater. I like how the skills actually have like purpose for what they say.
Right,
Like
we grew
you're
the tree.
sowing the tree, and and what are you doing now? You're making a platform with wood cutting and cleansing the tree with divination, something like that. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. I don't mind it at all.
Another thing I want to mention, so they will be doing a happy hour in which everything doesn't have a token cost, so everything will be free. So that will last, I think, 1 or 2 hours every single day, basically.
Is that a set time? Do you know?
Shawnee is going to set a schedule. I don't know when he's going to, or when he's going to tell us, but he'll tell us before the update goes out, basically.
Cool.
So,
All right.
yep. Now, the other thing that they showed off in the stream today was the Sears Village rework, or graphical rework. Basically, they have had plans to graphically update members areas recently, after they finished graphically updating most of the free-to-play stuff. And the Sears Village is the next on the list. However, because Minifos is a higher priority, they are putting off the completion of this till sometime later. Now, aside from that, though, they still have like concept art, which looks incredible. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet.
We can definitely
But-
put that in the description.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty incredible.
Yeah, it'll be on.
But then
Especially
again-
in Camelot Castle.
I'm always impressed with the art beforehand, and then it's 50-50 after that.
Yeah,
Well, I think they're actually building the castle on top of White Wolf Mountain, or parts of it. So I think it'll make it to a bit more to scale and more impressive, which is nice.
Yep, it's going to be more like along the side of it a bit.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be the main castle, like we know, where it's like the same location that it's at right now. And then there's going to be a side bit, which is like a wall along the bank, and has like this little, I guess, alleyway sort of feel to it. I don't know exactly what they said they're going to make a market or something in that area, but I'm not sure yet.
So last year they did a graphical rework of, what was it, Catherby?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that was very well received. So I think this is probably a kind of successor to that, and hopefully will be similarly received.
I'm pretty excited for that baby castle to actually be a great castle. Like it
Right.
should be.
Sears has not changed much since like 2006, 2006. And it's supposed to be something regal, for a game that most people traditionally think of as medieval, which it really isn't. It's just a fantasy game, but you have these classic characters, and I don't know if Sears necessarily does it justice, but looking at the concept art, it definitely has more of that feel to it, more of a King Arthur, and there's a building that looks quite like a barrel, which is pretty sweet looking, like a long haul.
That's like the pub, like the bar.
Yeah, exactly. That looks fantastic. I think that it gives more of that immersive feel than is currently offered. And if RS is gonna, maintain a new player, I think updating a lot of these places is a good place to start. So
That's what I was going to ask.
Ashvale next.
Is this trend of graphical reworks a good thing? And I would say yes. Like, I think they're a lot more areas that I would like to see them hit, including Mauritania, which some parts of that look quite rough, like Port Phasmatis and Canifis.
The experiments?
Yes.
Oh.
According to
That bed sheet you
Kelpie,
wear.
yeah, according to Kelpie, they're gonna, like, from Sears Village, they're going to slowly expand outwards. But at some point, they're going to make the decision to either rework, I think, Relica or Ardoin. But those would be massive.
But yeah, those are pretty
ones.
big Well, Relica is pretty sparse if you think about how many buildings and NPCs are there. I think Arty would be a much bigger undertaking. And also, I don't think it looks as poor as some of the older places in the game. But it's definitely a good thing. I don't see how it could be argued otherwise for them to, A, keep people on staff and busy working on these graphical projects, and also encourage players, especially new members, which are the people who most often frequent Sears, give them something nice to look at.
All right. Another thing that Jagex teased on Reddit this week was the new pets for combat skills. Alex, give us the update on that.
All right, so basically, at the moment, Jagex is accepting concept art from players for all 8 of these new combat pets. They're going to pick, the ninja team will pick the top 5 for each skill, and then they're going to poll those 5. So ultimately, the players are going to pick how the combat pets look, which I think is a pretty cool idea. And then the other thing we wanted to discuss was, how do you handle Jack of all trades? Do you get rid of it? Do you make the new title? Do you grandfather people? How do you guys feel about this?
Very easy. You only get the title if you unlock all the pets. So take it off everyone until they get all the new pets.
Yeah, I think that's the way they did it with Salty after the feedback from the community. And it would be unfair to do it differently to grandfather people. I think the community wants, to have to earn it. The only people negatively impacted by that will be level 3 skillers.
Fuck
who who would no longer be able to achieve Jack of all trades. But what we did see proposed for this instead, and in a Reddit thread, we'll give credit to the author, was to have 3 different versions of the Jack of Trades title. So to have the existing one for 5 pets, to have one for all non-combat pets, and then one for all of them.
It's a joke.
In white, gold, and red, I think. So
Not a
good
idea.
Do you like that suggestion or no?
Terrible. Because imagine if you had like a final boss title that was all of them except for boss pets. So just make it halfway. Just call it final boss and it's all red. I mean, it's either you got all the pets or you don't.
Yeah, imagine if there was a final boss title for having like 100 kills of each monster, but none of the pets.
Well, there's 2. So
yeah.
Get an experience, become an experienced bosser, and then become an insane experienced bosser. You have 2, do a little bit of skilling.
I agree with the mentality that we can't exactly pander to every self-limiting sect of RuneScape. However, in this case, I think there is a strict division, and not only in terms of release, but in terms of how the pets would be obtained between combat and non-combat skills. Personally, I'm not peeved by them making an extra title or a different color for existing titles for Jack of all trades. However, I think it's a slippery slope towards rewarding people for not participating in certain aspects of RuneScape, and I don't think that's the way I want to see the game go in any way. So I'd prefer if they just removed it from everybody and then rewarded it as players became Jack of all trades. So
Yeah, like, I personally have Jack of all trades, and if they just took it away from me and made me get the combat pets, that would definitely motivate me more to get the combat pets.
yeah.
I will say it did motivate me for Salty, more so than if I had been grandfathered. But yeah, because otherwise I would have just gotten salty back through daily contracts as opposed to actually camping for it.
Have you seen any ones you liked? Any suggestions so far?
I can't say I looked at any of the submissions. What did you see?
Well, I saw like a little hummingbird. You know how they got a real long beak?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a hummingbird for attack. The hummingbird had like fencing, the little sword.
Mhm.
Because fencing is all about attack rather than strength. It was a little hummingbird with a little sword on its head, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I was a big fan actually of the floating newt, carrying the rune that could cycle through.
That's a nice one.
That one is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that one.
We have a Shuri in the clan making a summoning one right now that looks adorable.
What is
it?
What is that one?
It's a little goat. I think it's a goat with
goat.
with a summoning charms around its neck, like a necklace. I think there's a picture in the Discord,
Let's
but
see.
it's pretty cute.
I want the goat pet. Make it
I
happen,
want the
Jagex.
little-
You remember when we used to summon goats?
Yes.
But then again, where is the newt that one uses for magic? So I am also pro goat. So I think by and large we're gonna get good suggestions for each of them, and once it's down to the community's vote, we'll get something nice.
The only issue I have with this process is that it's like 5 steps. They said they're going to like collect submissions. They're going to take the top 5 for each skill and poll them. Then they're going to like animate them, release them in game. It sounds like it's going to be pretty drawn out, and I don't think that's a good thing, especially given the amount of time that's already elapsed since they released the original batch of 19 skilling pets. Because I think a lot of players now are disincentivized to finish their combat skills if they're close to 200 mil. Instead, they'd rather wait
for sure
until the pets come out.
Yeah,
I
that's
wouldn't
personally.
mind. You can go ahead, Alex.
Oh, so that's personally my problem because I went dry on Slayer. So, I saved it for last just for combat pets, and then they weren't out yet, so okay, I just gotta get Slayer, but that was a lot of combat XP I could have used for the combat pets. So that sucks, because I'm 200 mil in most combats.
Yeah, I need an ASAP
Mind
too.
them, moving the Jack of Trades, the current grade title, which is 5 skilling pets.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind them moving that to all skilling pets, and then the Jack of all trades be accompanying all of them.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and then maybe have a gray title for all combat pets too.
That seems like 5 skilling pets is just
it's arbitrary. Well, first of all, it's arbitrary. You're not completing anything.
Yeah, I think the only reason they even gave that in the first place was to make people feel like they could participate in the pet update without camping for all 19 of them.
It is a pretty big undertaking, and I think that's probably correct. However, I'm almost always for removing arbitrary unlocks. And if they wanted to put Jack of Trades to 19, as suggested, I'd totally support that. I don't see a lot of players using the 5 pet title to begin with. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I like that suggestion. As long as it's symmetric, so there's another one for the combat pets.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we're all for combat pets, and I guess the majority of us do not care what happens to skillers who have invested hundreds of hours to getting the title. I personally don't. But do you guys feel that it's unfair for them to give this title and say this is how you get the title, and then change the requirements to something that cannot be achieved?
They've got to leave them with something, because it's probably a very small number of skillers who have gotten Jack of all trades. I don't know what that number is, but
it's a non-zero number.
It's a non-zero number, and like you said, to be kind of misled into thinking they'd earned a title.
If they're already getting the Slayer pet, they're already doing something.
If you can get it
Whether
from
it be
attacking,
tagging or some, you know what I mean?
yeah,
They're doing something without getting the XP for it. So if they could add something like that to be able to get the summoning one, or like, I don't know how they would do the prayer without bearing bones, but if they could have some kind of like a red title or some kind of title to still show that they have their skilling pets, I think it would be fine to add the additional ones.
Or in the
Right.
wilderness, you can turn off PvP XP, right? So maybe that could be a workaround for them.
That's true. That's true. But then you're kind of encouraging, boosting. But that's another story. So anyway, I think we'd like to move on to the next issue, which, Andrew, would you like to talk about the recent Twitch Prime promotion?
Yeah. So this came out last week, and from April 11th to May 8th, Twitch Prime members are able to claim a reward bundle, which includes 1 month of membership, the Prime Colossus Legendary Pet, 15 Treasure Hunter Keys, 200 Rune Coins, and if they play Old School, they get a retro theme for Old School, but only for the month. Now, this was pretty positively received overall, I think, with the major issue from the community being that Amazon Prime, and by extension Twitch Prime, is not available in Australia, the Netherlands, and probably several other countries where there's some RS players. So Shane, you're directly affected by this. How do you feel about it?
I feel let down. I feel robbed. I feel cheated. It's a disgrace. I literally can't complete content. I can't get content because of where I am. It's racist, and I don't like it. It's a joke. I mean, I don't understand. At least just give it to me. That's the easiest one.
But it's not really something Jagex has control over either.
Well, they do, because they've done it out of spite. They've done it out of spite. They said, fuck Australians. We're not giving it to them.
No, it's a business decision by Amazon to not operate in your country because it's in the middle of goddamn Narnia.
It's not that far away. We're just being cheated. It's a joke.
By and large, though, that was really the only measure of discontent with this update. I think most people received it very well, considering legendary pets are fairly expensive in terms of rune coins. And to be able to provide a free one for something that a lot of people already use, I would say an even greater percentage of students, which make up a large percentage of overall RuneScape players, already use Amazon Prime. And just getting something in game for it and giving more exposure to a widely used service, but maybe underappreciated by certain people, I think it worked out for Jagex, and I'm thinking it probably worked out for Amazon too.
I think it's a really nice bonus to get, and I think it also helps in terms of marketing and puts RuneScape up there with other games that are being promoted on Twitch, which I like. So I don't know how successful this promotion has been in terms of new players, but hopefully it's been somewhat successful in recruiting new players and also bringing back a lot of old players who probably have moved on to other games, still use Twitch, and might get back into RS now that they see they can get free membership.
And they might actually know what a legendary pet is.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, does anyone know if it's available for Ironman also?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I think it is.
I believe it is, yeah.
So it was bugged and unavailable, but now it is available.
Yeah, Ironman have it. They just can't get the the treasure hunter keys and stuff like that.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
that's still a huge boon, because these legendary pets can be 2-hour Beast of Burdens. They auto pick up loot for you. They alch for you if you're into that, and they're just very useful as a whole. Not to mention that. Not to mention, they're reminiscent of early pets in RuneScape. They grow, which is one thing that most pets don't do, and it's a good mechanic.
What do you guys think of the pet itself in terms of aesthetics?
I think it's adorable, the little tiny one. I'm gonna have to get it from my sister.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I like the glitch where it picks up the texture of whatever you summon it on. I'm a big fan of that because you create some very interesting colossi. But yeah.
That's funny because it's unintentional, but it'd be cool if there were pets that you could customize in that way.
Chameleon.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
But no,
Baby
I
troll.
like that
Blue
just
party hat.
that just
Christmas
eats
cracker.
rares. Yeah, that just eats rares. So no, I think pets are there could be a pet rework in RuneScape to the extent where you actually grow your pets. Now it's basically just cosmetics. But if you were to gain, for lack of a non-RS already used term, a certain affinity with your pets, or you know what I mean, you might be able to take this update and legendary pets in general and improve pets in RS because they are oft used, well received, and it could be something further down the line that is more integral to the game experience. And Jagex just found an opportunity to give a lot of people a legendary pet that's normally like what, $20. So
Yep, or like 50 mil.
yeah. So basically everybody got 50 mil if they did this. I mean, it's only spendable one way, but they just saved you a lot of money. And Iron Men especially, it's extremely useful.
Well, since we brought up Iron Men, like, do you think this almost breaks the spirit of Iron Man because it's technically an MTX item that actually has a use?
No.
Well, we don't really have an Iron Man player to represent that point of view, but
Well,
They've always been able to get legendary pets, and they're just
Iron
getting a
Man
free one
was
just the
broken.
same.
Sorry, Matt. The Iron Man was broken the day that you could get the loyalty points and like get a Jack of Traits, because it automatically became easy to train herb lore and other skills like that and have a huge advantage. So it's been dead for a while.
Yep, that's it. Just retire the
That's
game
it.
mode.
Well, it ruined the spirit of the game mode. You could literally do MTX.
I mean,
to get-
there's plenty of other things. PVM is broken on Iron Man to the point where you can duo racks and leech and
Attack.
get your T90s that way. There's a lot of problems, but I don't think with Iron Man, but I don't think this is one of them, personally.
It's certainly probably not the most significant.
Another nail in the coffin.
I know if I
basically
did
the-
Iron Man, I would not want to pick up every single drop all the time. I would want the pet.
I mean, I think
Easy skate.
I don't think there's anybody who wants to pick up every single drop while slaying. But I
We're
just don't
admitting
see
it's
how
already broken, the spirit, like forever ago, so we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but Jack of Trades killed Iron Man, so
And
like
Book
there's no
of
reason
Shar,
to blame.
Elder
well,
Logs.
well, using other people's elder logs is the problem with that. But anyway, no, I don't think it's too big a deal, and I think again if they can completely exclude Iron Men, which are a large part of Twitch, which I think we've ignored, or you can just allow them to participate and give them equally the rewards that they can already buy with rune coins, right? So I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, there's a pretty sizable community of Iron Man, and I don't think you can lock them out of a promo like this. You have to give them something.
Oh, I just meant like, I don't know, just like a holistic thing, like all like just MTX in general. I'm not saying like since we're already taking this direction, let's reverse it now. Just seeing how you guys feel about it.
Right. Well, obviously MTX in the way of keys is something that Iron Men cannot participate in. However, legendary pets to some extent, it's not as big a deal as one might think. It certainly does have its benefits, but it's not game breaking. Certainly not as game breaking as other methodologies. Right. So I think we've come through that. Do you want to send us to the next segment?
Yeah. So Shane,
Yeah, mate.
have you got a Reddit thread for us this week?
I do. This one comes from a great fella called Bonzilla1. Now, Bonzilla1 has noticed that, I don't know if you guys know, but do you guys ever play Idle Adventures?
I have.
I also have.
Anyone?
What is
Most
that?
people don't say that. You don't even know what it was. It was another game by Jagex, which they fucked up. They didn't even get out of beta. It was sort of like, do you ever play Cookie Clicker?
Yeah, dude.
It's like an AFK game, another AFK game, where you just like you play the game without actually playing it.
It's Farmville.
It's Farmville for RuneScape, basically.
Yeah.
Waterfall
And-
fishing.
Didn't put it on mobile, but it was another game that they decided to shut down. And Bonzilla1's actually made a nice little funny picture here. This is his. Have a look. I don't know if you've seen it, but
Which
for
will
those,
be included in the description or
Yeah.
on screen.
yeah, we'll chuck that there. And little Idle Adventures fellows walking along, and he
Or are you
sees
gonna-
decomposing bodies of Darkscape and Fun Orb and 8 Realms and Stellar Dawn, and he
I
gets
think
shot
we're
in the
gonna
head.
need a minute of silence for each game now.
You mentioned Darkscape there. Now, what stage of decomposition is Darkscape in at this point, would you say?
It's still rotten. And Mod Pie laughs at me to this day. I still get PMs from him telling me. He's calling me a clown. And he said,
Oh,
you should have never killed me at Warbands. This is because of you.
So he
PM'd me all this
gloats.
sort of- Yeah, he gloats. And I can't believe he does it. But here's a funny little picture. In the comment section, there's a lot of people relishing Arcanist. No, what's it called? Arcanist. Really
Arcanist,
just
yeah.
a bad version.
Arcanist
just
is
a-
pretty good.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's a huge demand for it, apparently.
Yeah.
If they put it out on tablet,
Yeah.
if they've already got the game, just put it out on mobile. A big demand for Darkscape as well in the comments, but it's good to see that the hatred still exists and there's a fire that burns deep down inside everyone in this comment section. I love that.
Well,
They're getting angry.
I think with Jagex in the recent past, the issue has not been necessarily the games themselves. It's the releases and how Jagex
Yes.
has treated those releases. For example, Chronicle, the card game. I don't know if you guys ever
Good
played
game.
it. Very good game. Very
Yeah.
well reviewed. And to be honest, very competitive at the highest level. However, no mobile. Like, if
Yeah.
you want a card game to succeed, especially one that seems relatively easily portable, why not release it simultaneously on mobile, especially when it was a Steam release and something that you could have attracted a very broad RS-based audience that people would like to do while AFKing. But no, it's a PC and Mac only issuance. It doesn't work for such a game.
Yeah, same with
Jagex-
Idle Adventures.
Jagex does not seem to have any, considerable resources dedicated to mobile development. Even for RS, its flagship product, the RS Companion app, when's the last time it received new features or an upgrade?
Right.
And how often do people ask if player-owned ports could be added or other things?
Oh man, that would be great. I would love to do my ports sitting at work.
So that's one problem. Jagex has never put mobile first, and that's a reason, I would argue that's the primary reason they have struggled to have really another hit game, is because of that decision. Because gaming has gone incredibly mobile and has been going that way for the past 10 years since smartphones first became widely available.
So
Yeah,
I wanted
Chris.
to bring up something. This is obviously not like something that disagrees with that too much, but basically Jagex has made a few successful mobile games that were #1 within their respective market for some time. Like I think Minor Disturbance was one of them, and they made several others. I can't remember the name of them. So at one point they were able to have a successful mobile team.
Right, which there were job postings for mobile over the past couple years if you follow Jagex's hiring. However, I think the main issue that we can see here is upon release, players could not play a lot of the games the way they wanted to. With Chronicle being my major issue. That game, I think, could have been largely popular. Very unique, very good gameplay, but perfectly suited for mobile.
And what are the marketing and promotion efforts like for each of these launches? I mean, have they been, do you think, adequate? Have they been under-marketed?
So
Darkscape, there was none.
yeah, Darkscape there is none, but with Chronicle there is actually a good amount of advertisement. They got people, I think like TSM Crypt and a few other streamers to stream the game for an hour or two on Twitch to like several hundred or several thousands of viewers. So it wasn't like it got bad exposure, but the issue was the branding, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, like, or the type of like how the game was advertised for the type.
Right.
The type
I think the branding may have played a small part. However, I think it was the lack of support after the solo campaign for Chronicle, at least. And for other games, it's like there are a couple updates, and then players are left in waiting for either the game to get eventually canned or stagnate. And once it stagnates, it's not in Jagex's past or present to pick up one of these games and start running with it again. It seems like they sort of abandoned the projects.
I mean, Jagex is not Blizzard, and I don't think they try to be Blizzard, but in 2017, I think they're still trying to find an identity beyond RuneScape, and they just haven't been able to yet.
Well,
Which I don't know if they need to. They could take the RS brand and the RS not necessarily lore, because that's what Chronicle used, but the same game elements. Like, I don't know about you guys, but if Mechscape would have ever gone up, I would play RS in space. I'm not gonna lie. First of all, there would be a great swapping community. Second of all, it would be a fun time. I think everything we like about RS is multiplied tenfold when the game is new. I think we saw it with old school. You know what I mean? We would totally see it with.
You get to choose, you know, what you would want to focus on.
Right.
Well, that's what they have RuneScape Revolution for. They're working on a new RuneScape, aren't they?
It's RuneScape remastered, but
Remastered.
But I don't think it's going to be a replacement to RuneScape based on what they've said. But I have no clue what the game is going to be also. So who knows? It could be a game-changing game.
Well, anyway, I was the other section we got here today. I've been getting PMs off the charts. They've been asking me, Shane, Darkscape, we want to know. We've got questions for the boys and girl. They want to know. We've got one here from Annoying in game. That's her name, and she has asked, Shane, I want to cook a meal for you. What is your favourite food? So, what's everyone's favourite food? Alex, what's yours, mate?
I like pizza without pineapple on it.
Okay.
So most pizza.
Yeah, is that a common issue for you? You get a pizza and it has pineapple.
Oh, no, not again.
Yeah, just throw it in the trash.
They put pineapple on it again. Damn it.
You know, if I worked at your local Pizza Hut, I would just include pineapple every time. It's the best practical joke on Evu ever.
And then I also am on campus, and there's a Chick-fil-A right next to my math building, so I usually get Chick-fil-A like.
All right, that's you like your fast food with a touch of homophobia.
Uh-oh.
But no pineapple.
Edgy,
No pineapple.
edgy.
Yeah. No, Chick-fil-A is pretty great, actually.
Yeah, I love it. Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, mate.
See,
Go on.
This is a really difficult question because I'm not a very picky eater. So instead of my favorite food, I'll give you guys one food that I never tried until I was in college. And I discovered it because on campus they opened a new dining facility that specialized in it and was named after it. And that is pho. Have you guys ever had it?
Yep.
It's a Vietnamese soup. It has, like, I think some noodles, some protein, and vegetables. It's very, very good. Typically kind of spicy, but delicious.
Yep.
Try it.
Chris?
I'm in the same boat as Andrew. I'm not a picky eater, and I like a whole load, like plenty of stuff. But if I wanted to say something that also I tried new at college, would be pizza, but with a cream cheese base instead of the normal pizza sauce. Now, it sounds incredibly disgusting, but it's actually 100 times better than normal pizza.
As somebody who dislikes pizza, I agree with you entirely.
Wait, you've had it before?
Yeah, I've had it before.
Oh, yeah. It's really good.
Whose turn
That
is it now,
sounds
Shane?
awful,
Yours,
I'm
mate.
not going to lie.
As long as there's no
Oh,
pineapple.
it's mine? It's mine?
Yeah.
So, I tend to enjoy anything that will give me diabetes. So, big fan of gummy worms. And beyond that, very rare steak. Otherwise, it's just straight Red Thunder, Monster, everything that will get me hyped up.
And Gunner, who could ever forget peanut Nature Valley bars, chewy version.
For the unenlightened, when you have an IRL XP Bonanza, you get about 64 of the same energy bar, and that's all you eat for a week until you are ill.
Until you are literally ill and vomiting, in Gunner's case. But it was good fuel.
Yeah.
It was good fuel for about like 70 million Dungeoneering XP in a week or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like 89. It was a quite productive week.
Megan, what do you want?
I'm not that picky. I'm just gonna go with anything spicy.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'm a
Lame.
simple man. I like some snags and some bread with a bit of onion, bit of tomato sauce.
Is that
Delicious.
English?
Yeah, it was.
What do you mean?
Could you translate, please?
A bit of what?
So sausages sausage.
Yeah.
We're familiar.
What was the first
Yeah,
word you
yeah.
used?
The snag.
Yeah, snag. That's a sausage and bread. You know bread.
No.
Also familiar.
Never heard of it.
And you put the sausage in the bread. And you get some onions. You cook that in the barbie too. You put the onions inside the bread with the sausage, and then you put a bit of tomato sauce on top. Now, not pasta tomato sauce, but sort of like a ketchup, but not as sweet. So like a tomato sauce, and then you just tuck it. Delicious.
So I think translation, Shane likes brats.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's different, isn't it?
There's more complex flavor, but
Delicious, good stuff.
very
But
Australian of you.
Thanks to Annoying for sending that.
Yeah,
in.
great question.
Gonna have a good time cooking all that for us up. That's good.
Send us
And-
more questions, please.
Yeah, you can just PM to me or chuck them in the YouTube comments below. But that's all we got today. Gunnar, do you want to send us off, mate?
Yeah, sure. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or just want to hang out, we are available most hours of the day, all hours of the day for those of us underemployed on the Discord. So stop by, ask us some RuneScape or other questions. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Special thanks to I'm Rubik for stopping by again and giving us some of his update-centric purview on the state of RS. So thanks again, Chris.
No problem. Glad being here.
Yeah, excellent. So we'll probably be back at some point later this week with a State of RS podcast. Otherwise, we'll be back for the next update, and we look forward to presenting to you again. Thank you very much, and happy scaping, guys. See ya.